Hi, I'm Dina Korometis, and I am a voice actor. I'm much more comfortable in front of this microphone than I am in front of a camera, but here I am, talking to you on social media, which is not normal for me. A lot of voice actors and voiceover personalities make social media videos to promote themselves. I'm doing this not that I don't want to promote myself. I'm doing it because I would like to speak to authors in general, authors who are independents and maybe don't have their books with the big five yet. They want to make an audiobook out of the book that they have existing on Amazon or wherever it's published or wherever they're about to publish it. It's easier than you think to make an audiobook, and I want to explain the process to you and what voice actors do for your book. I generally record all of my audiobooks in my own little studio that I have built in my guest room of my home. So I've got baffles on the wall and professional microphone and my MacBook Air set up in front of me, and it's all great, except in a neighborhood, which is where I live, a suburban neighborhood. I do put up with things like leaf blowers and kids yelling Marco Polo in their pools and garbage cans rattling. So I'm not going to say it's an easy process. I sometimes have to wait until all the noise is over with before I start in, especially the neighbor's lawnmower. But today I wanted to talk to you about making an audiobook. And I wanted to see whether you believe that audiobooks are cheating in some way. Do you consider it lazy or a handout for someone to listen to an audiobook? I hope not, because audiobooks are the fastest growing segment of publishing right now. They include people who with impaired vision, people who have dyslexia, people who can't normally read the way that a person with a book in their hand can read, and others just do it for sheer enjoyment, and they appreciate the convenience of it. Audiobooks generally are made for getting things done. People who are commuting, waiting for their kids in line at school to get into their cars, or maybe they're sitting on a beach. It's amazing what an audiobook can do when people just don't have the time to sit with a print book in their hands. So my job isn't just to read a book out loud. My job is to make your words come to life. Your very precious words. Why do I say I know your words are precious? Because I have been a writer for the past few decades. I'm a copywriter. I write people's website content. I ghostwrite their blogs. I've written for Forbes, and I currently write a column for Psychology Today on aging well. I hope you think I'm worth it. At any rate, writing to me is something I take very seriously, so I know what you go through when you write your books. I know the editing process. I know how you sometimes hire someone to look at your words and give it a second set of eyes. The processes that you go through making a book from 60 chapters down to 30, because I know what writing is about. So I'm kind of on your team, and I still write for a living, but I took up voice acting because I love to read out loud, just like many of you did when you read to your kids. The thing is, I've had voices in my head, from British accents to Russian accents to Greek accents. Greek is what I am, for many years. And I thought, how do I cut these little voices loose? I found out that I can do it by being an audiobook voice actor. I know that people look at your book and they think, oh my gosh, if you're a fiction writer, how do you come up with those ideas? My hat is off to you if you are a fiction writer. I think you guys are great. I don't have the kind of imagination you have. I tried to write something in fiction and it sucked. I'm sorry, but it did. As for nonfiction writers, people say, wow, is that what I have to do to hypnotize myself? Is that what I have to do to stop smoking? Is this what I should do with my business? I mean, there are so many reasons people listen to both fiction and nonfiction books. I wanted to talk to you about making your book go audio and how it offers you the broadest audience possible. The demographics for audiobook listeners are kind of surprising. People under the age of 45 are the largest segment who listen to audiobooks, and the largest segment among those are people from 18 to age 24. Now, why is that? I don't think they teach reading as well as they used to in schools, and sometimes because kids are extremely auditory, that's what they prefer to do. Teachers use audiobooks in classrooms in ways you might not even imagine. If you're a teacher and you want to get your kids' attention on a certain book you'd like to see them read, or to choose from a number of books they'd like to read, you might play a segment of an audiobook out loud in the classroom. And maybe you'll play several of them and have them listen to a section of each book, and then perhaps have them vote on which book they'd like to read. What a way to get a kid interested in reading. I just think it's wonderful how audiobooks can be used in a classroom. In other cases, I have heard that they will put a QR code up on a bulletin board, and kids will take their smartphones, which they're never without, and hold their phones up, and it will get them interested in listening to an audiobook, or at least an excerpt of it, the way the teachers would like for them to do. The other demographics about audiobook listeners is that women tend to engage more with it than men. They tend to be higher earners, $75,000 income or more, and the higher number is among college graduates. People from urban areas tend to like audiobooks more than those in suburban and rural communities. So now that you've got that in your head of who listens to audiobooks, think about who these people are. Most of them are multitaskers. They're people on the go. They're working out, they're, like I said, listening on the beach on vacation. Maybe they're doing it while they're ironing clothes or doing laundry or watching their kids play in the pool. There are so many reasons to listen to audiobooks. The reason that I like audiobooks, though, you may be surprised. I am a writer, but that doesn't mean I like to read print books very much. I used to devour them when I was younger, but for some reason, I think my partial ADHD brain doesn't have the patience that it used to. And when I would start to read a novel, even though it was something I was terribly interested in, I would skip. I would skip around to the dialogue, kind of miss what you said in between if you were the author. And that's not good because it means that I'm missing out on part of your book and some of the plot of your book if I didn't read it carefully. With an audiobook, though, it's kind of like I'm watching a movie without having to have my eyes glued to anything. I can look around, I can sit in my backyard, and I can enjoy your book in a totally different way, including listening to characters that an audiobook voice narrator would bring to life. People with visual impairments or they're reading challenged there are more people than you realize who have these issues. That may be the only way that they can read a Stephen King novel. Think about how you are impacting people who would never pick up a print book or read it digitally on an iPad. I want to talk to you first about your book, Going Audio. I know some of you think that it would be great to narrate your book yourself. I mean, who better than to say your words than you? I'm going to tell you about an experience that I had trying to do this years ago, before I even thought about doing this for a living. And it was when I had an assignment by LendingTree.com, and I had written articles for newspapers around the U.S. about buying new construction homes. And they loved my stuff so much, they said, "Oh, we want to make a podcast." And I said, "Whoa, great." I said, "I want to narrate the podcast." And they said, "Oh, no. We're going to have a voice actor do it." So I did a little arguing and negotiating with them. And I said, "You don't understand. I was offered jobs in radio, and I would love to be able to narrate my book." What we settled on was they let me read my introduction and the epilogue, the conclusion to the podcast, which were all based on articles that I had written years before. Here's the best part. They flew me to New York. I got to sit in a sound booth across from Madison Square Garden. I got to stay at a nice hotel. And here I am in a sound booth with a plate glass between me and the producer. And I start to read my introduction, And he stops me. He puts his hand up and says, "You're not smiling enough. There's no smile in your voice. You've got to slow down. You just swallowed that last word. I don't like the inflection in that sentence." So for me to do the introduction probably took me a solid 2 hours with all of the interruptions. It was very frustrating for me. I thought, wow, this is harder work than I thought. What happened, they had hired a voice actor to do the rest of the book, past the introduction and before the conclusion. As I was leaving the studio, I saw the voice actor there, this young woman who just had an incredible voice. She took my words and did things with them I would never have been able to do. And when I listened to the final product of my book and the podcast, I was thrilled. I have to say, it was very different, and it made me realize that not everyone should narrate their own books. So how do you work with a voice actor? First, you have to find one, and it's not that hard to do. ACX, Findaway Voices, both of them offer matching services if you want to give them an excerpt from your book and have people audition for it. You can also find voice actors by just Googling them and looking at their websites and listening to their samples. If you like how they sound, if it looks like a good match for the book that you have in mind, you can contact them directly through their websites. And there is nothing sweeter for a voice actor than to get contacted through their website, let me tell you. I have a number of samples up on my website, which is dinakoromedes.com. You can listen to all of my goofy voices, from Russian to German to my normal American accent to Southern accent to New York accents. I have so much fun when I narrate books, and I can do it in a straight accent anyway. But I do offer a bunch of voices that I can suggest for characters and for books that have foreign people in them, so that they're speaking English in a foreign accent and it's believable. With ACX and Findaway Voices, how it works is, I've only really used ACX. I think I've only had one book through Findaway. How it works with ACX is that you have taken the title that you've already published on Amazon and made it available on ACX. So your book cover is up there, and there's an explanation of what it is because you've put one in there. You've also done a few instructions on how you want the book read. Do you want a male or female narrator? Do you want the book read in a 15-year-old's voice, maybe a very young person? And I can talk like that. I can really sound young when I want to, but that doesn't mean I want to do an entire book for young adults in this voice. So you can see how we can change our voices around. I do love to do British accents, and I have narrated entire books in a British accent. But you are the one that will direct us on how you want the book to sound. However, once we get your notes and you choose us as the voice actor, we will stage and tone your book. It's all ours once we get the contract. We are the producer, and we're the director, and we're the voice talent. It's kind of like handing a script over to the director of a play or a movie. It becomes ours, and you have to trust us with it because you already know how you think we're going to sound doing it. We generally don't like to be micromanaged and send you a chapter at a time. Instead, we just want you to trust us to do it right, and then we will give you several opportunities to correct whatever you'd like once you listen to the book before it gets published. If you're going to record yourself, you need to do some research. I would really recommend some coaching or hiring a coach just for a day and paying them some money to tell you what you should do with your voice, whether you're being too serious, whether you need to put more smile in your voice, or maybe you need more inflection, especially with your characters if it's a fiction book. ACX will also give you advice on where to put sound levels. If you have bought yourself a professional mic and you're doing it in your own home, which I really don't recommend you do unless you set up at least a semi-professional studio. Right now, I am not in my own studio. I don't dress like this when I'm in my own studio. I have my yoga clothes on. I decided to do this today in a professional studio because I think it's a little more effective to have someone do this right. When I'm recording my audiobooks, though, it's a whole different level and nobody sees me, and I just love it. It's not like having to go up on stage and being dressed in a costume. So there are so many reasons I'd rather be behind a microphone than in front of a camera. Next, you need to know about different DAWs. A DAW is a digital audio workstation. They have names like Audacity, Pro Tools, Reaper, Adobe Audition, and there are tutorials online that you can use for them if you don't like just the instructions that come with each of them. I use Audacity right now because it's free. I'm used to it. It's easy to use. I may switch to something else if I get some more training on one of them. But right now, I stay very simple with the DAW that I use. In terms of how you pay an audiobook narrator, there are several ways to do it. There is PFH, which is per finished hour, which means a complete finished hour is we've done everything to it. We have corrected it, we've gone over it, we've done the right inflection. Everything is perfect about a finished hour. So if you have a 5-hour book, figure that it's about 9,300 words per finished hour, and then ask what the narrator's fee would be for a finished hour. It'll range probably from $100 to $300. I am not a member of SAG-AFTRA yet. I may join it one day, but I do charge the lowest SAG-AFTRA rate when I'm asked what I charge. Anyway, I wanted you to learn a little bit about what we do in my industry, what this person behind the mic does with your book. We can add character voices. We can make your book sound as good as I listen to my podcast without my voice. But I think it's worth it for you to look into it. Audiobooks are, like I said, the largest growing segment of publishing right now, and everything is going audio, from your phone to your GPS to your voice prompts to Alexa in your home. There isn't much of life that hasn't gone audio. So maybe it's time for you to jump on the bandwagon. It's been fun for me to put my face to my voice, and maybe someday you'll hear my voice on a book. I am published on Amazon on a few books. I haven't been at this as long as some voice actors who have 100 books behind them yet, but I'm going to try to get there, even at my old age, okay? If you'd like more informational videos like this about making audiobooks, then please leave some comments below. I would love to be able to come and do more of these for you. Not so much selling my voice on these, but instructing you on what to do and even how to write a book so that it can be a good audiobook. Feel free to email me through my website if you have questions. Even if you don't hire me to be a voice actor, I'm always happy to help. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this.